Okay, our next topic is braking. So you know what is an electric motor? Okay, so you know the function of an electric motor. So when electrical energy is given as input to the electric motor, mechanical output is obtained. Okay, so whenever we want to convert electrical energy to mechanical energy, we will use an electric motor. So you people might have conducted some experiments in the machines laboratory, and as soon as your experiment is over, as soon as you disconnect the supply from the motor, you might have observed that immediately the motor won't go to rest. Okay, so it won't go to the rest position. Okay, so because of the inertia. Okay, so whenever we want to stop the electric motor, okay, so initially what we do is we disconnect the supply. Okay, that's what we do. So whenever an electric motor is running, okay, we will simply disconnect the supply, assuming that immediately the motor will stop. But it won't happen. Okay, so even though supply is cut off, motor continues to rotate for a long time due to inertia. Okay, so in some cases, because of this inertia, there will be a delay in bringing the other equipments. Okay, so it is necessary to bring the motor to rest quickly. Okay, so the process of bringing the motor to rest within the predetermined time is known as braking. Okay, so braking means what? The process of bringing the electric motor to rest in the predetermined time. Okay, so good braking should have some features. Those features are, it should be fast and reliable. Okay, and the equipment to stop the motor should be in such a way that the kinetic energy of the rotating parts of the motor should be dissipated as soon as the brakes are applied. Okay, so a good braking system should be fast and reliable, and the equipment which is used to stop the motor, it should be in such a way that the kinetic energy of the rotating parts of the motor should be dissipated as soon as the brake is applied with the help of the some external device that you are using for uh, bringing this motor immediately to rest position. Okay, so let us discuss different types of electric braking. So this electric braking can be applied to the traction vehicle by some methods. Those methods are plugging, rheostatic braking, and regenerative braking. Okay, so by plugging or rheostatic braking or by regenerative braking method, okay, you can bring this motor to rest position immediately as soon as the supply is disconnected from the motor. So let us initially discussed about this plugging. So in this method, it is one type of braking method. Okay, the electric motor is reconnected to the supply. So okay, initially whenever you want to stop the motor, okay, immediately what you will do, you will disconnect the supply. Okay, so after disconnect the supply, immediately what is done in this method of braking, that is plugging method, what is done is immediately after disconnecting the supply of this electric motor, the supply is reconnected in such a way that it has to develop a torque in the opposite direction to the movement of the rotor. Okay, so initially when normal supply was there in the electric motor, the rotor must be rotating in some specific direction. Okay, so when braking is applied, that is plugging is applied, okay, what will happen is, since you are reconnecting the supply in such a way that, okay, the rotor starts to rotate in the opposite direction to that of the one which was in the previous case. Okay, previous case is what, when normal supply was given, the rotor was rotating in one specific direction, and when plugging is applied, the rotor will start to rotate in the opposite direction. Now as soon as plugging is applied, that is when supply is reconnected in such a way that the rotor starts to rotate in the opposite direction, motor will start to decelerate until speed is 0. Okay, and it will start to accelerate in the opposite direction. Okay, of course, initially, as soon as supply is reconnected in such a way that rotor starts to rotate in the opposite direction, okay, initially the motor will decelerate until speed is 0, but it will also start to accelerate in the opposite direction. So immediately before this acceleration starts, okay, it is necessary to disconnect the motor from the supply as soon as possible. Okay, before the motor accelerates, you must immediately disconnect the supply. Okay, as soon as speed becomes 0. Okay, so the main disadvantage of this method is that kinetic energy of the stored parts of the motor is wasted. Okay, so disadvantage of this method is the kinetic energy whatever is stored in the rotating parts of the motor is wasted, and an additional amount of energy from the supply is required to develop the torque in the reverse direction. Okay, so you need an additional supply to develop the torque in the reverse direction so that rotor can rotate in the opposite direction. Okay, so in this method the motor should be connected to the supply during braking, and this method actually it can be applied for both DC motor as well as AC motors. Okay, so let us discuss this plugging with respect to DC and AC motors. Okay, so in simple words, if you want to define plugging, then we can say that plugging is nothing but reverse current braking. Okay, we can call plugging as reverse current braking. So this method of braking can be applied to both DC shunt and DC series motors. Okay, so in here what the image that I'm showing you is DC shunt motor. Okay, and one more image is there. This is DC series motor. Okay, so this method of braking can be applied to both DC shunt and DC series motors by reversing either the current through the armature or the field winding. Okay, either you can allow current through the field winding in the reverse direction or current through the armature in the reverse direction for both this shunt motor as well as series motor. Okay, so our main aim is to produce the torque in the opposite direction. Okay, the you can see the connection diagram here. This is the normal operating condition. So let us start with this decision motor. If you see this arrow mark within this armature, if you see this is the decision motor, this direction resembles the direction of the induced EMF. Okay, now let us assume the armature terminals are reversed. Okay, so this is the direction of the induced EMF. Okay, similarly, if you see this DC series motor, this is the direction of induced EMF in this DC series motor when supply is given. Okay, when normal supply is given. So when the armature is reversed, okay, or you can reverse either armature or the field winding. Okay, so I'm telling you with respect to the armature. So when the armature is reversed, the induced EMF is in the reverse direction. Okay, so you can observe the direction of the induced EMF here, back EMF induced in this DC series motor, and the direction of the back EMF in DC shunt motor in this image. Okay. So whatever back EMF that is developed in this armature during braking period, okay, the magnitude of this back EMF will be same as that of the back EMF induced during normal running condition. Okay, so the magnitude will not change, but the direction will be reversed. Okay, direction of the induced EMF will be reversed, but the magnitude will not change. The magnitude will remain same. So during braking, armature of both shunt and series motors are reversed. Okay. Now the back EMF developed by the motor is in the reverse direction to that of your terminal voltage. Okay. This is the supply voltage. Okay. V. V is the terminal voltage. Okay. So now if you observe here in this image, I have connected a resistance here. Okay. A resistance R I have connected in series to the armature. The purpose of connecting this resistance in series to the armature is to limit the high starting current, okay, during the braking period. Okay, So in order to limit the high starting current during the braking period, I have connected a high resistance in series to the armature. Similarly, you can see for series motor also, you can see this is the high resistance. Okay, so in order to limit the high currents during the braking period, I have connected this resistance. Okay, so now let us see how the currents are induced in this armature during normal running condition as well as during braking period. Now let us assume I1 is the current that is flowing through the armature during normal running condition. So you know I1 is equal to V minus EB by RA. Okay, this formula is well known to you. So where V is the supply voltage, or we can even call it as terminal voltage, EB is the back EMF, and RA is the armature resistance. Okay, now during braking period, what is happening? The direction of the back EMF is reversing. So EB becomes minus EB. So the current in the armature during braking period, let us assume it is I2. Okay, you can see here it is I2. And what is happening to EB? EB has become minus EB. So V minus of minus EB by RA plus, what are you doing during braking period in order to limit the high current? You are connecting a resistance in series to the armature. So this resistance R will be added with the armature resistance RA. Okay. Okay. So during braking period, okay, current through the armature is I2. Okay. We have assumed some notation I'm giving here. Some I2 is the current in the armature, let us assume. So it will be equal to V minus of minus EB, because EB has magnitude of the EB has not changed. Okay, but it have not changed, but the direction has changed. Okay, so V minus of minus EB by RA plus an additional resistance has been connected in series to the armature, both for DC series and shunt motor. Therefore, RA plus R. Okay, so your I2 will become what? V plus EB by RA plus R. In order to simplify, simplify this expression, you can simply replace this RA plus R by some notation R dash. Okay, so your equation will become somewhat like this: I2 is equal to V plus EB by some R dash. Okay, so it's our wish. If you want, you can replace it by a single term, or you can leave it as it is. It doesn't matter. Okay. So now, the torque, you already know torque is directly proportional to the flux and the current in the rotor. Okay, so the braking torque will be proportional to flux into the current in the rotor. So what is the current in the rotor or the armature? Because it is a DC machine, you must we usually call it as armature. So what is I2 is V plus EB by R dash. So if you remove the proportionality here, you can replace it by some constant K1. So TB, braking torque TB is equal to K1 phi I2. What is I2? V plus EB by R dash. So K1 phi into V plus EB by R dash. Okay. Now you can multiply this K1 phi with this expression, and you will get K1 phi V by R dash plus K1 phi EB by R dash. Okay, consider it as equation number 1. All of you write it down in your notes. Write it down, copy it down. Current during the normal condition, I1, and current during braking condition, write it down in your notes. As soon as you complete, inform me. Current during normal condition and current during braking condition. Just write down these two equations. That's all. Only two equations. These two equations, you just write it down and inform me. I'll check your notes while taking attendance. So all of you, you must write. No excuses. Did you complete? Did you complete? Make it fast. If you have completed, type C. Okay, write it down. If you are not completed, type NC. Do you complete? Okay. So, okay, leave it. Okay then. Now, we already know speed is directly proportional to the back EMF and speed is inversely proportional to the flux. Okay, so N is proportional to EB by phi. And you can rewrite this expression as EB is proportional to phi N. Okay, if you remove the proportionality, EB is equal to K2 phi N. Okay, as that as equation number 2 and the torque equation which was in the earlier slide as equation number 1. This as equation number 1. Substitute EB equation 2 in this equation 1. Okay, where is it? Yeah, substitute EB in this equation 2 in equation 1. You will get the braking torque is equal to K1 phi V by R dash plus K1 K2 phi square N by R dash. Okay, so you can leave this. This is our braking torque. Okay, and you can leave this expression as it is, or you can reduce it. Okay, assuming K1 V by R dash is equal to some K4 and this K1 K2 N by R dash is equal to some K5. Okay, so if you assume K4 is equal to some K1 V by R dash and K5 is equal to K1 K2 N by R dash, then your torque braking torque expression will become TB is equal to K4 phi plus K5 phi square. Okay, so this is it. Complete it. As soon as you complete, inform me. Did you complete? Okay, very good. Now, our actual torque expression, braking torque expression is what? TB is equal to K1 5E by R dash plus K1 K2 phi square N by R dash. Now we know if you consider DC series motor, flux will be directly proportional to the armature current. Okay, so you can replace phi by IA. Okay, you can replace phi by IA and you can again reduce it to a smaller expression as I have shown here. Okay, and similarly, if you consider DC shunt motor, you know flux is constant. Okay, so since flux is constant, okay, you can replace it with some constant terms. Okay, so okay, so for DC series motor, since flux is proportional to the armature current, okay, I have replaced phi by IA and I have rewritten this expression. Okay, assuming some constants. Okay, so TB is equal to K phi IA plus K6 IA square N. And for DC shunt motor, since flux is constant, I have assumed phi as constant and I have replaced it by some constants here. So TB is equal to K phi plus K6 N. Write it down. Completed? No need to write all theoretical statements. You just write down since phi is proportional to IA for series motor. You write on your own words. Don't copy it down as it is. And since phi is proportional to IA for series motor and phi is equal to constant for DC shunt motor. That's all. Completed? Okay. Okay. So we have seen plugging for DC shunt as well as DC series motor. Now let us see. Let us apply plugging for DC. Sorry, induction motor. Okay. So you already know the operation of an induction motor, construction and operation of an induction motor. So under normal operating condition in an induction motor, the rotating magnetic field is developed in the stator, isn't it? You already know that. Okay, a rotating magnetic field will be developed in the stator under normal operating condition. Okay, and rotation of the rotor will also be same as that of the direction of rotation of the rotating magnetic field in the induction motor. Okay, so during the normal operating condition, the rotating magnetic field developed by this stator and the rotation of the rotor are in the same direction. Okay, but during braking period, what will happen? Plugging is applied to the induction motor by reversing any two phases. Okay, any two phases of the three phase of the stator winding. Okay, so among these three phases, you can reverse any two phases of the stator winding, okay, in order to change the direction of a rotating magnetic field. Okay, So now to change the direction under normal operating condition, the direction of the rotating magnetic field as well as the direction of rotation of the rotor are same. Okay. During plugging, what we are doing here is we are reversing the two phases, any two phases among these three phases of the stator winding, so that direction of the rotating magnetic field is reversed. Okay, so you can see this is the direction of the rotating magnetic field, this arrow mark under normal operating condition during braking period. This is the direction of the rotating magnetic field. It is in the opposite direction. Okay, so when you reverse this direction of rotation of the rotating magnetic field, okay, both the rotor and the rotating magnetic field will be in opposite direction. They will be rotating in the opposite direction during braking period. Hence, what will happen? Hence, the relative speed between the EMF and the rotor is nearly twice the synchronous speed. Okay, the relative speed between the EMF and the rotor will become twice the synchronous speed. So, ns minus of minus ns will become 2ns. Okay, during the braking period. Okay, so slip during the braking period is what? Ns minus ns by ns. So ns minus ns means 2ns by ns. So slip is minus 2. So during braking, slip is minus 2. I think you people already know all these terms and expressions. You might have already learned in your machine subject. Okay, so slip is during braking period, slip is minus 2. Okay, but the voltage that is induced in the rotor, let us assume the voltage induced in the rotor is E2. Okay, it will be proportional to the product of the slip and the stator voltage. Okay, so if S is the slip and V is the stator voltage, okay, then the voltage that is induced or EMF that is induced in the rotor will be proportional to S into V. Okay, and the rotor voltage during braking period is twice to that of the normal voltage. Therefore, this E2 will be proportional to minus 2V. Okay, of course, S is minus 2. You can simply replace my S with minus 2 here. Okay, write down these equations. No need to write the theory, write down these equations. Okay, so during braking period, what is happening to the magnitude of the voltage or the EMF induced in the rotor? It is becoming twice to that of the normal supply voltage or the terminal voltage. So in order to withstand this high voltage, okay, I hope you people are writing, make it fast. So E2 is proportional to what? It is minus 2V, means it is twice to that of the supply voltage or the terminal voltage. So to withstand this high induced voltage, okay, so this because of this high induced voltage, there may be damage in the rotor windings. Okay, so in order to withstand this high induced voltage, proper insulation or additional insulation must be provided to the windings. That is one of the drawback of this method. Okay, so the rotation of the magnetic field is in the reverse direction. Therefore, it will produce a torque in the reverse direction, thereby applying brake to the motor. Of course, our main purpose of applying plugging to this induction motor is we want to apply brake to this motor. Okay, so I hope you people have completed, and you can see the characteristics here. So the braking of the induction motor can be analyzed by the slip torque characteristics here. Okay, so this is the running period, this is the braking period. Okay, so if you add any additional d2 by root of r2 square plus sx square of whole square. So this is the rotor current during braking period. So you can even see the characteristic curve of the rotor current and the rotor voltage variation, rotor current and rotor voltage variation with respect to the slip. This is the characteristics of rotor current and voltage with respect to the slip. Okay. Now let us apply this plugging to the synchronous motor. So the stator winding of this synchronous motor is fed with a three-phase AC supply. Okay, the stator windings are fed with a three-phase AC supply. You can see here in this image. Okay, to produce the rotating magnetic field. Okay, in the stator poles. Okay, and the field winding is excited. The field winding of this rotor is excited by a DC supply, which will induce some magnetic field in this rotor also. Okay, so at any instant, the stator poles get locked with the rotor poles, and the synchronous motor rotates at a synchronous speed. Okay, so when three-phase AC supply is given to the stator windings, when DC supply is given to the rotor windings for excitation. Okay, so at any instant, okay, the rotor will be locked with the rotating magnetic field of the stator. Okay, so this rotor will be rotating at what? Synchronous speed now. So when plugging is applied to the synchronous motor, it is not possible to produce the counter torque. Okay, so it's not the case with respect to your induction motor or DC series or DC shunt motor. It is not. This case is not similar to those cases which we have already discussed. Okay, so when plugging is applied to the synchronous motor, simply it is not possible to produce the counter torque or the opposite torque during the braking period by simply interchanging any two or three phases of this AC supply. Okay, so this is due to the magnetic locking of the stator and the rotor poles. Okay, so in order to develop the counter torque, the rotor of the synchronous motor should be provided with damper winding. Okay, so the rotor of the synchronous motor must be provided with damper winding. The EMF that is induced in the damper windings whenever there is any change. Okay, so whenever there is any change, EMF will be produced in this damper winding. That is reversal of direction of the stator field. So whenever there is reversal of direction of the stator field, EMF will be produced in the damper winding. So according to the Lenz's law, the induced EMF in the damper winding will oppose the change which is producing it. Okay, you people already know the Lenz's law, isn't it? So this induced EMF in the damper winding will produce the circulating current to produce the torque in the reverse direction. Okay, so this torque you will call it as braking torque. Okay, so in the case of synchronous motors, we will use damper windings to produce the EMF. Okay, this EMF will produce the required braking torque. Okay, so this braking torque will help the motor to come to rest. Okay, so actually in practice, plugging is not used for synchronous motors as high plugging current can cause severe disturbances. Okay, as high plugging current can cause severe disturbances, plugging is not used for synchronous motors. Plugging is used for only for applying brake for induction motors as well as DC series and DC shunt motors.